Headline news most affecting Chilliwack this week. Provincial election candidates were locked in, and then one withdraws. The election promises include the usual lament for Highway 1 expansion, a guilty plea for a former assistant to a local MLA, and the Chilliwack Chiefs exhibition season starts with a W. Our special guests this week include Clint Hames and Liberal John Martin in our special election interview series presented all this month by Simpson Notaries. And Berris Karden in two interviews, one with Stanton of the Rotary Club of Chilliwack and the second with Christie Weightman, here to talk about her new film. All right, Chilliwack, let's get started. FVRD Chair, Chilliwack City Councilor, and Yarrow resident Jason Lum confirming the rumors and will run as an independent against incumbent Liberal MLA for Chilliwack Kent, Laurie Thronis, in the October 24th provincial election. Lum was able to ratify the paperwork with Elections BC before last Friday's 5 o'clock deadline. He was able to effectively use social media for his last campaign. That was as city councilor. He's expected to do the same thing this go round. And literally, after the candidates list was dry, Green Party hopeful Jeff Hammersmark withdrew his bid for the seat. Now, in a social media post, he said by running, he would split the vote. By stepping aside, he feels this will improve Lum's chances of an election victory. But the timing was kind of off because the voters list was finalized, so his name will still end up on the ballot. The election promises coming in fast and furious, as expected. First, Liberal leader Andrew Wilkinson promising the suspension of the PST for a year, if elected, and then bring it back at 3% the following year, this to stimulate the economy. Now he's hinting at widening Highway 1 through the valley. This is something that incumbent Chilliwack MLA John Martin has been, and pardon the pun, railing about expansion of the highway widening to Chilliwack for years, including when the Liberals were in power. Now, speaking of rail, don't forget to check out chillTV's YouTube and Facebook channels for the 4-part series, The Rail Choice. I'll look at rail and highway transportation in the Fraser Valley. One campaign issue that is also starting to raise its head is the lack of face-to-face campaigning due to the coronavirus. Now, as we mentioned, Jason Lum, who heads an IT company, used the internet to get his message across in the 2017 municipal elections. But some current politicians are rather reluctant facing this campaign online only. Later in the show, Clint Hames, who will anchor Simpson Notaries Presents BC 2020 election night coverage on chillTV, will have an interview with John Martin, the current MLA for Chilliwack, and running as the BC Liberal candidate in the October 24th election. Desmond Devnich is well known in the community and has been connected with everything from the Chilliwack Fair to Rotary Club, the Chilliwack Downtown BIA, and the Chilliwack Chiefs. The Chilliwack Progress reporting that Devnich pleaded guilty this week to 2 counts of fraud over $5,000 and 2 counts of breach of trust by a public officer. That's when he was an assistant to MLA John Martin. The charges cover the time period from June 25th, 2013 to February 27th of 2017, and sentencing is expected sometime next week. Chilliwack RCMP are looking for the public's assistance as the police investigate a shooting incident from last Thursday, October the 1st. Chilliwack RCMP responding to a report of a man suffering a non-life-threatening gunshot wound and receiving medical treatment at Chilliwack General Hospital. Mounties believe that following an exchange between a motorcycle driver and occupants of a dark-colored SUV on Hope River Road, the suspects allegedly followed and shot the motorcycle driver while traveling on Young Road near Hope River Road. Mounties are hoping that somebody has dash cam footage of the incident. A student at Chilliwack Secondary tested positive for COVID-19, but the school board was quick to point out that the rest of the school population were at minimum risk. In a letter from the interim superintendent to chillTV, it was noted that we and other media reposted what was supposed to be a letter to parents only about this case and about 2 other schools. Local and Vancouver media stand by their reporting that parents were the first to post the letters. Media simply did their job to report that. In September of 2017, the owners-operators of Spiritual Quest Wellness Society received the green light to expand from 6 to 9 beds. The location was not without controversy, as neighbors were concerned about crime and recovering women with addictions and their concerns that they would be in the neighborhood. After a rather testy public hearing, they did receive a 3-year TUP, a temporary use permit. 3 years later, the pandemic affected the women's and staff in the shelter, being in close quarters, and Spiritual Quest stood empty. So the building on Nowlin First is now up for sale. The owners are hoping to find a new location sometime in the new year. The upgrades to Five Corners continue, with most of the paving and expansion work now done. Chilliwack Mayor Ken Popoff is very pleased with the outcome and the extra space for traffic movement through the area, including turning lanes. The bulk of the construction and reconstruction being handled by the City of Chilliwack, Alger Brothers, and Jake's Contracting. An update to the Vedder River cleanup from 2 weeks ago. The final tally is in, and 3.1 metric tons of garbage collected. And that included needles, shotgun shells, bed springs, propane tanks, and camper fridges. All of this collected by less than 50 volunteers and all practicing social distancing. And now, as promised, Clint Hames and chillTV's election interview with Liberal John Martin.
Hello, I'm Clint Hames, and it's my pleasure to be a part of this year's coverage of the 2020 provincial election on chillTV. I'll be hosting candidates for the rest of the month, and then on the evening of the election, stay tuned to more coverage, a whole evening of coverage on the provincial election. I'm really pleased today to have as a guest John Martin, who's running for the BC Liberal Party. And John, you're fairly well known in this community, but maybe take a couple of seconds to tell us a little about yourself.
Well, thanks so much. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. So I'm a two-term MLA in the riding of Chilliwack, and prior to public service, I was 25 years in the Department of Criminology at the University of the Fraser Valley, had a few stints in broadcasting and theater along the way, and I love this town, and I love the opportunity to represent the fine people of Chilliwack for one more term.
And John's a little too humble to talk about his musical career. I understand you're a musician as well.
I'm more of a plugger. My wife's the real musician, and so she makes everyone around her sound a little better than they really are. But yes, I like to play resonator and stand-up bass.
I've seen you brag about some of the instruments you have in your house, and some of them make me very jealous. Listen, John, one of the first things that came out of the Liberal Party in this campaign was an announcement about an elimination of the provincial sales tax for a year, and then in the following year bringing it back up to 3%. Now that's a significant loss in revenue. What's the plan from the Liberals' perspective in foregoing all of that revenue, and how are they going to make it back? How is that going to work as we try to build the economy back after this pandemic?
Right. So we're in exceptional times, and it requires exceptional measures to restore the economy. And every single jurisdiction in the Western world is going to be in deficit territory, major deficit territory for many years to come, including British Columbia. So we are going to give British Columbians a one-year holiday from the PST, and that will stimulate small business. It will leave every single consumer with more money to spend. It will help to create jobs, restore consumer confidence, and it's one of the big ways that we can look at bringing our economy back up to speed, because the recovery is going to be difficult. There's no getting around that. And if we have a second wave, as many are fearing, and it shuts down much of the economy once again, it's going to be very difficult. So right now, the emphasis is on helping small business, and the people I've talked to that own businesses in this town are saying that the elimination of the PST for 1 year would be huge. To a person, they all said that one word, absolutely huge. And right now, it's the proper thing to do. Under other circumstances, it would be a very different situation.
In terms of building the economy post-pandemic, are there other measures that the Liberals are looking at that will be on the table in terms of building back the economy? We will get through this pandemic, and I think we're all anxious to know what a plan might be as we move forward.
Right. Well, one of the other pieces of the platform that was recently released is to bring forward a multi-billion-dollar infrastructure building and spending program to create hundreds, if not thousands, of jobs in various parts of the province to stimulate the economy. And right now, with the interest rates where they are, that's probably one of the better times to do something like that. The present government has not done very much, if anything, anything in terms of infrastructure. So we're looking at replacing the Massey Crossing, getting that done. We're looking at schools and hospitals. I personally am going to be shaking every branch and kicking in every door I can to get Highway 1, 6 lanes all the way out to Langley. And these are things that are going to create jobs and are going to make transportation and the movement of people and goods throughout British Columbia at a much significantly a superior rate than it's at right now. And the economic boom of that investment in infrastructure is one of the planks that's going to help with the economic recovery, because we've nowhere to go but up from where we are right now. It's going to be tough.
Thanks for that, John. I think you said to Langley, but I think you meant the section from Chilliwack to Langley.
From Chilliwack to Langley.
6 lanes. I'm just a quick question. I know that part of your portfolio has been a critic for advanced education, and one of the things that's the nearest and dearest to my heart, and I'm sure yours as well as a former employee, is the University of the Fraser Valley. I think people in Chilliwack are always anxious to learn what the future of the campus is in Chilliwack. Are there any plans in terms of infrastructure development that would see investment in the Chilliwack campus?
Right. So I'm a little bit going to have to be a bit vague on that one, Clint. When I was transferred from labor critic to the advanced education and skills training, the writ dropped basically a few days after that. So I never really had an opportunity to invest myself in the file. But I can tell you that when I was part of the government from 2013 to 2017, my colleague Laurie Thronis and I did everything possible to bring as much investment, new equipment, new degree programs to UFV. I was a student at UFV at the old campus on Airport Road. I started my formal education there. I was lucky to be hired into the School of Criminology when I finished my own graduate work. And UFE will always be near and dear to my heart, and I will always do everything I can to promote, to assist, and to work with all the great people at the University of the Fraser Valley. Chilliwack and the other parts of the Fraser Valley are well served by that institution.
Thanks, John. And maybe finally, what's the thing that you've been in government and you've been in opposition, I guess, since 2013, so 7 years serving the community. What's the one thing you like to look at when you come home and say, you know, I had a big hand in making that happen, and I'm very proud of that?
You know, we often think that our proudest moments is these major infrastructure, the Vetter Bridge, the Lickman Exchange. But I can tell you, Clint, personally, the finest moments for me is when you help someone's problem go away. Someone that is struggling with a medical problem with the bureaucracy, someone that's struggling with WorkSafe, and they're trying to get a file corrected. And to be able to cut through the bureaucracy and all the red tape and actually get someone to answer a phone call and make that problem go away for an individual. Sometimes it brings them to tears. Sometimes the next day there's a little handwritten thank you card slipped under my door. But that's what's really given me the most pleasure in the 7.5 years I've been an MLA, is to help constituents with their problems, with their struggles, and cut through the bureaucracy that, I mean, I have a tough time cutting through it, and I'm sure you did, Clint, when you were in public service. So when you can do that for someone, and a huge burden has been taken off of their back, that's a pretty good feeling, and I think, okay, that's a good day.
Well, thanks very much for that, John, and good luck on the campaign trail.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. And we'll be back with other candidates in the coming days and weeks. Thanks so much for watching.
Welcome back, everyone, and it's my pleasure to welcome to the show Christie Weightman. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Berris. Nice to meet you today.
Christie Weightman is the project coordinator for Overdose Prevention and Education Network for the Stolo Nation. Now, you're here for a very special purpose today to share some video material that you created recently with your team. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we've just released yesterday our overdose prevention mini documentary, which is meant to kind of spotlight the issue going on in our community and spread awareness and generate a dialogue with a broader demographic of people than simply just who are affected by it now. So our reasoning is to raise awareness.
Wow. Can you tell us a little bit about the video? Who's in it and how long it is and what you focus on?
Absolutely. So the full-length video is 10 minutes long. And we have Inez Lewis in there giving us some statistical information as well as just how it's affecting the people, the Stolo people. And we have Dr. Robert Fox in there as well, also giving some statistical evidence and support to back why we're creating this awareness. And then we also have one of the local elders on giving some information and advice on just how to be there for people. And we have a incredible woman giving a bit of her story and sharing with us where she's been in her life and where she's come through the support she's received from people. And so that's what we wanted to share with people, that anything can happen in life and we can all come back from anything. And so that's what we want to share so that we can start to reduce stigma and start supporting people from a more holistic place. So,
yeah, well, that's great. I mean, talking about it is the start, really, and getting that dialogue going and just creating awareness, which you're doing with this video. So now this took a bit of time. You started it, I understand, in July, but was COVID an issue putting this together?
Yes, it was. So it was delayed a little bit, and then it was quite amazing. We had this idea that we wanted to run with, and somewhere along other types of dialogue, we found a collaborator or someone that was interested in collaborating on this sort of project, Dr. Mark Rodanis in town here. And so we decided to, pool our efforts and began working on it early July. And it took a little longer than we had hoped, but because pandemic happenings and everything like that. So it took a little bit longer, but here we are. Well,
here we are. And thank you so much you actually reached out to us on Facebook. Thank you for doing that. Otherwise we wouldn't even be aware that you're doing this. And so you've released the full video just yesterday. What we're going to do right now is watch just some highlights from it right now, but we'll have the full information and link on any of the postings that we do on social media. So you'll have access, all of our audience will have access to watching the video. Great. Christie, thanks so much for being on the show. Really appreciate it. And best of luck with the video.
Me. Thank you so much.
Right on. Thanks.
We're having an overdose crisis right here and now in our own community.
I would do my bit in the morning, get up and just power through my day. I was like a soccer mom.
I was a drug and alcohol counselor, and I was a first aid person in my community. I've had people die in my arms.
The majority of people who are dying from overdose are dying in their homes, they're dying alone.
The picture you have of someone overdosing is someone on a street with a needle in their arm hunched over. That's the picture that jumps to your mind of what an overdose looks like, which we know is not the majority of the cases.
And I really didn't actually see the issue with it, except maybe the shame surrounding if somebody found out.
These are our family members, our loved ones, and so that's why this conversation is so necessary.
It's tragic because it's so preventable. Like, no one has to die from this.
So some small achievable things that people can do if they're choosing to use drugs are, first off and most importantly, are to have conversations with your loved ones, whether it's your friends, your family, parents, brothers, sisters, or if that's not safe and you need to use by yourself, There's the Lifeguard app that you can download on your phone, and you check in to say that you're going to use, and after a certain amount of time you check in to say, yes, I'm alive and safe. There's the Narcan kits that are being given out in different community centers and as well available from the pharmacies, so that if you are using with friends that they can have that available. We all need to stay open to learning, and I'm learning, you're learning, and we can do that together. And I think it's a good opportunity to connect with loved ones to save lives.
The Chilliwack Chiefs started the 2020-2021 exhibition schedule with a 6-2 win in Surrey over the Eagles. The silly season continues until the 30th, and then it's anyone's guess when the regular season starts or how it's going to look. The BC Hockey League has yet to make that decision. Now, the Chiefs' Ethan Bowen is in the mix for the NHL entry draft. Bowen has 12 goals, or had 12 goals and 31 points for the Chiefs last year, and he is considered the highest rated prospect coming out of the British Columbia Hockey League from last year. And like the Chiefs, the Chilliwack Jets continue their exhibition season with no one in the stands, and their games are streamed online. The Pacific Junior Hockey season hopes to be in full swing by the end of October, but the challenge is having all 13 teams ready to go with their rinks. The Jets are still looking for billets for some of their players, which is a challenge in these pandemic times.
Welcome back, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of Rotary Corner. And we're so fortunate to have this time Karen Stanton, who's the president-elect of the Rotary Club of Chilliwack for 2021-2022. Welcome to the show, Karen.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Great to have you. And I know some of our audience is probably wondering, they see Rotary around doing so many things around town, wondering how COVID-19, the pandemic, has impacted on all the great things that Rotary does. Has there been an impact?
Oh, certainly there has. Just like many other organizations in the community, we've had to rethink how we do things. We're meeting on Zoom now instead of face-to-face. But we've also had to rethink our fundraisers, because normally we would have a fundraiser and for money to raise money for community projects. And this year, we decided to have a book sale at the end of August. It was a one-day sale out by the Chilliwack Rotary Service Building, and
that's a new building that you've just... That's
correct. We're very excited to have that building. It stores a lot of books, donations from the community that we receive throughout the year. We have Rotarians a couple times a week sorting books and getting them ready for the annual book sale. We had so many books in our warehouse, and we weren't certain about the fall, and so we decided to have a one-day sale at the end of August, and it was very, very successful. We've brought in about $18,000, and that will go towards community projects.
$18,000 in one day?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, this community has been so supportive and excited by the book sale because it's a lot of great value and everything. And so, but we normally expect that in the fall. So is that still going on then, or?
Yes, actually, we're really excited about the fact that we've been able to figure out how to have a safe book sale. We're going to be holding it at the Heritage
Heritage Park.
Heritage Park.
Yeah. Okay.
And
wow.
yeah, at the end
that's a very big space there.
That's correct. Yeah. So we'll be able to ensure that all of the protocols are in place, and we'll be holding that through the end of October.
Last week of October. Okay, good. Well, we'll mark that on our calendars. And so that's in October. Anything else happening in the fall?
Actually, yeah, we're really excited about a new project that we're about to embark on. It's been a few years in the making. It builds on a pilot project that we did a few years ago in partnership with a Rotary Club in Peru. And the project was implementation of a library in an elementary school. And this was a very significant project because in Peru, people don't typically have books in their homes. And in the schools, it's not common for people to see textbooks. The teachers typically will photocopy information for their students, but having a library just makes such a difference in the students' learning and their capacity to grow and to move on to higher learning. And so through this new project, we plan to implement 10 libraries. It's a library network, so it involves the implementation of libraries in spaces that are already existing in schools and the training of teachers and librarians on how to manage the library and how to incorporate it into the school curriculum. And so that is in partnership with the Rotary Club of Castilla in Peru, and we have contributed through our club $30,000 US.
Wow.
And that was matched by the Rotary District 50/50. That's the district in which our Rotary Club is located.
Mm-hmm.
They have put in $30,000 US.
So you doubled it. Wow.
Yes, and then we've also been successful in acquiring $60,000 US funding from the Rotary Foundation of Canada, and that's monies that are provided by the Government of Canada.
So you quadrupled it.
So essentially, and then it gets even better. We were able to get $75,000 from the Rotary Foundation. So that's a total project value of $195,000 US, which is about $250,000 Canadian.
Wow, not a bad return on investment for an initial $30,000 investment.
That's correct.
And the biggest return on investment is all the children and families that are going to benefit in terms of literacy in Peru. That's unbelievable.
That's correct, yeah. And it will be, there are 8 different communities. Each of these schools has been visited by the Rotary Club in Peru, and they've been assessed to be sure that they're ready and able to take on this new role. We've had agreements signed with the regional governments there, and so there's all the components are in place to ensure that the project is sustainable and that it will have a lasting effect on each of these communities. So
wow,
we're really
very
about
powerful stuff. Rotary does so much locally that we're aware of, but maybe not so aware of the international stuff. Finally, is there any other local things that Rotary's doing in the fall, or?
Well, we will be continuing on with the food program that we have been involved with throughout the summer. And I know that there are a number of other ideas all in the works. And so I don't think we have enough time to cover everything today, but I'd be happy to come back some other time.
Well, we would be happy to have you again. It's such a wealth of information here. And it's again, thank you so much for you and all Rotarians and everything they do for this community. Karen, Stanton, thank you for being on the show, and till next time, Rotary Corner.
chillTV weather, unsettled and typical fall weather is here. At least the wildfire smoke has disappeared. Expect showers and highs around 15. If you'd like to participate in reporting news in Chilliwack and you have a story you think we should know about, send us a note to news@chilltv.ca. We'd love to hear from you. That's the news this week. I'm Don Lehn. Happy Thanksgiving and pass the gravy.